You guys remember the shooting at the Covenant Covenant Presbyterian School last year?
Yep.
Horrific incident. A transgender shooter, female who identified as male, went in and killed 6 people. I have some of the details here. It was March 27, 2003. Audrey Hale, a 28-year-old biological female, identifying as a male and using the name Aiden, opened fire at the Covenant School, a private Christian elementary school outside Nashville. I'm sure we all remember many of the details about that. She had gone to the school as a kid herself, it seems. These are some of her photos, and you can see the transition of her going from looking like a fairly normal girl to being a freak until she finally went into the school that day and shot.
Clearly mental problems.
Yes,
there's something going on.
We'll get into that because
Okay.
the details we have learned about this really show the extent to which that insanity ran. So between 10:11 a.m. and 10:25 a.m., she fired 152 rounds with 2 rifles and a sidearm. Her 6 victims, we want to, obviously commemorate them as well because it's just been a little bit over a year since this happened.
God rest their souls.
Evelyn Dickhouse, William Kinney, and Hallie Scruggs, all age 9, and substitute teacher Cynthia Peak, who was 61, custodian Mike Hill, who was 61, and head of school Catherine Kuntz, who was 60. So this monster killed children and elderly people who worked at the school. Horrific. The police came in after, I believe, less than 14 minutes. In a textbook takedown. We're not going to play the video because, obviously we don't want to show that kind of thing here.
Did he commit suicide or they killed him?
No, they took him down. They took her out after.
They did. Oh, okay.
And with it surgically in a textbook sweep of the building.
Steve, you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just watched the video before the episode started. But the cops were praised at the time because this was, at the time of the shooting, it was a little over a year after Uvalde, when the cops stood there for an hour and blocked people from helping.
Yeah.
These guys went in
and arrested parents who tried to go into the school and save their own children.
Yeah. So for as tragic as the situation was, the actions of the police definitely made it so it wasn't worse. They ventilated the shooter as they should have. She left the earth full of holes, and we say good riddance to that piece of filth. But the government response to this was insane because within hours we learned that the shooter, identified as transgender, had been receiving counseling for years about her gender dysphoria. We knew she was insane. Like,
everybody knew that.
Absolute lunatic. We knew that from the first few days. And the government didn't want you to know that. They wanted to cover it up instead. Immediately after that, there were protests against anti-trans bills everywhere because all they wanted to do was protect the sacred trans community from any sort of blowback from this. An organization that is a group for trans rights and the whole activist organization planned a Trans Day of Vengeance, where they were going to go out and protest and call for violence against transphobes. They ultimately canceled it because of the backlash that followed after the shooting. Gun control protests were standing around calling on legislators to ban guns, as they always do. They always blame the firearm for it. They were holding up 7 fingers. 7 victims. Well, as you saw from that photo, there were 6 victims. They were including the shooter in
the victim?
The victim count. Because she was oppressed and put upon because she was trans. It was actually transphobia that drove her to it, they were insisting. Like, she wasn't, unhinged because she was possessed of the delusion that a woman could become a man. She was only doing it because she was so burdened by the transphobia she had experienced in her life. I have a quote from Karine Jean-Pierre, this one not generated by geniuses on Twitter, but actually uttered by her own mouth. The trans community is under relentless attack from Republicans around the country. Rather than uplifting or supporting everyone in our communities and focusing on issues that matter to the American people, they want to target transgender Americans and take away their freedoms. That was in a press conference like 2 days after the shooting. At the same time that Biden declared a Trans Day of Visibility less than 4 days after the shooter.
Yeah, visibility. Yeah, meaning now we're visible because now we know who the hell's shooting freaking kids.
Yeah, get out there and be visible.
Yeah.
It'd make it easier for the cops to identify you, I suppose.
Yeah, unbelievable.
You know, to advance any political agenda after a mass shooting is crazy.
Is that
literally there's literally nothing you can do to anybody that could ever justify any sort of
period. Anything about politics, shut the F up. People are dead.
Crazy. But in Audrey Hale's car outside the school, they found a journal, and they found more writings when they went and searched her house. We didn't get any of that for months until November, when the Louder with Crowder team got these 3 pages leaked to them by a law enforcement source that they have not revealed, as well they should not, because Nashville authorities were making all kinds of threats against whoever leaked it. There was an active effort by the Nashville City Police and the FBI to make sure this did not get out anywhere. But what the Crowder leak revealed is that she wrote extensively about wanting to target Christians, wanting to target white people. It was a hate crime, essentially.
Obviously.
The government wouldn't call it a hate crime because anything you do against white Christians is totally acceptable. Yep. They can't be subject to that. But she wrote things like, I want to kill those kids, kill those crackers going to private fancy schools with those fancy khakis and sports backpacks. I want to shoot you with your mop yellow hair. I want to kill all you little crackers. Bunch of little F slurs with your white privilege. This was what she was...
I wonder where she's getting that type of mentality.
I wonder.
Wait, so she's transgender but calling people faggots?
Yes.
Nobody sees the irony.
No, and also white and talking about wanting to kill people.
She's white.
Privilege.
She's white.
It's because we've talked about this before.
I'm sorry for using that word, but she was using it, so I'm quoting her.
When you are trans, you are automatically elevated to a category that puts you above anything else.
Like sainthood.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if you're white. If you're a white trans person, you've escaped your white privilege because now you're part of the oppressed group. You escape being an oppressor by being trans. Because trans people can't be oppressive. They're the ones who are weighed down and burdened by society, you see. So, of course, she's able to rant against white privilege despite being white herself because she's in that special category. Another page that Crowder leaked was her schedule. She had it planned out to the minute of how she was going to do this.
Oh, damn. Hey, you say what you want.
It was her death day schedule. She said, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't. Might be 10 minutes tops, might be 3 to 7. It's going to go quick. I hope I have a high death count. I'm ready to die. Ha, ha, ha.
Holy shit.
And you see, like, this is the deranged scrawling all over the paper of someone who's clearly mentally unhinged. Like, this is the type of...
Don't the people around them notice? Like, I would think that if my kid was writing in a diary... We'd have all kinds of things to talk about, but I would call it a journal, buddy, first. Yeah. But second, like, I would think that I would know that he's having these thoughts. So, believe me, I'm not trying to victimize the villain here, but how does nobody in this person's life be able to look at what's going on in this person's mind and their behaviors and their actions and see that something is clearly fucking off with them?
Well, I'll get to a little bit of that in a minute, because there might have been people who knew about this. And of course, anytime there's a school shooting, you always hear the line, he was on the FBI's radar.
Always.
That there were always reports.
And then they forgot about him.
They just never do anything. It's almost like they want to have it happen. Who's to say? But much that like I said, that leak from Crowder was in November, and then we heard nothing. There have been lawsuits filed against the FBI, against Nashville. They have not put anything else out until about month ago, towards the beginning of this month. The Tennessee Star has been doing extensive reporting on it. They apparently obtained a leaked version of the entire thing. This is a conservative news outlet in Nashville that is spearheading those lawsuits and doing most of the reporting on it. Most of what we've gotten has come from them. This is, the Tennessee Star's editor-in-chief, Michael Patrick Leahy, who I will touch on a little bit in a moment. But they have apparently reviewed 4 dozen pages of this journal. And they said, they've found all sorts of other things surrounding it, like FBI memos talking about how, if we put it out, if we release the legacy tokens, that's FBI talk for, manifestos and other writings, it's just going to cause conspiracy theories. conspiracy theories start when you cover up the document, not when you publish it. But among the things the Tennessee Star has reported, and I have just some of the things, these were the most recent as of yesterday, but they have dozens of articles exposing little bits and pieces about this. Things like, FBI acknowledging in the memo that they want to stop false narratives, and that's really all they care about. They're more concerned about people saying incorrect things if they read the manifesto, citing unintended consequences for the segment of the population more vulnerable to conspiracy theories. But then also, the Star found that Audrey Hale had been receiving counseling and treatment for 20 years, since the age of 8,
Jeez.
at Vanderbilt University Medical Center.
Oh,
where
damn.
she had been prescribed SSRIs, all sorts of antidepressants, all sorts of gender transition medication as well.
Starting at the age of 8. That's when she started receiving treatment.
It's not clear when she was put on medication like this, or to what extent the drugs allowed her to facilitate a transition. But she was on definitely drugs for mental instability, all sorts of disorders. And it seems like they may have even known that she had violent tendencies. And rather than trying to give her counseling to get out of that, it seems like they actually facilitated her delusion by being trans-affirming, because Vanderbilt has been outed multiple times as being behind giving out hormone blockers to kids and counseling people who, like, quote-unquote trans kids into their, continuing with their delusions. The police served a warrant against them for her medical records, but Vanderbilt has never commented publicly on this. So what the Star has gone through as they're coming across her writings, finding things like a whole write-up, 3 pages, called My Imaginary Penis, in which Audrey Hale wrote about, my penis exists in my head. I swear to God I'm a male. Then she also wrote about her desire to have a penis just so she could have sex with a woman. She talks about simulating sex with dolls, giving one doll plastic surgery to give it a fake penis so that it could more accurately have sex with a female doll. And she talked about, trans kids matter. I hate parental views, how my mom sees me as a daughter. I'd kill to have access to puberty blocking resources. And she also talked about, trans kids are the future. Bear in mind, this is a 28-year-old woman. This is not a kid. But in her mind, in her writings, she is still a child. She's treating herself like she's an infant and identifying with children.
What about her parents, her mom and dad? What was
her
their
parents
role?
seem to come from a conservative religious background. In her writings, it was extensively about her parents never affirmed her. Their Christianity was standing in the way of her transitioning. So overall, the entire manifesto is proving what everybody already knew. This was an unhinged transgender maniac who shot up a school because she wanted to go after Christians, because she felt like they were transphobes. I believe we had a picture of the whole write-up there. Part of where the Tennessee Star comes in again is that Michael Patrick Leahy was just coming to court on Monday in order to stand for contempt of court charges for leaking the documents and not identifying their source. We have a whole report on this on VT.com that you can go read details about. Ultimately, the case was dismissed against him late last week when he was supposed to go testify. But there's still the possibility of contempt of court charges brought against him and all sorts of punishment against the outlet, because they do not want this released, even as they're trying to sue to get it public. But just to bring it home here, the Biden administration has doubled down so hard on transgender awareness, Transgender Day of Visibility. And, we're in Pride Month right now. We're in the midst of it here. A little while back, Biden tweeted, this International Day of Trans Visibility in trans remembrance, we want to commemorate all the violence against them. I put this in response to him. Like, this is on International Day of against homophobia a little while ago. So I asked the question, here's the transgender shooter who killed 6 people last year. Any commentary on this kind of hate-fueled violence? Maybe you'd like to call for a certain manifesto to be released publicly in honor of this sacred day? Just a thought. But from the highest levels, they have gone out of their way to make sure you don't know what is in this manifesto. But we knew day one what it was. As soon as we heard that it existed, we knew this was a violent hate crime targeting Christian children by someone who thinks that all white Christians are transphobes.
And what do you think the main reason? Because I want to ask all you guys, what is the main goal of the government, media, everybody? Because this isn't the first time I've seen them try to stop the public from knowing that a transgender male, I get too confused. I don't want to get into that. That the person that's responsible for murdering or causing harm or anything is a trans, and they want to keep it from us.
Well, it goes far beyond the Covenant School shooting. Joel Osteen's church a while back was shot up by a female immigrant who used male pronouns.
I remember that.
There was a school in Iowa that was shot up by a kid who identified as gender fluid. I believe we also have a screen grab of an article that Shane wrote not too long ago about this lovely gentleman here who is definitely not Alf in a wig or anything. But this guy was inspired by the Covenant School shooting.
Look at this. Look, by the way, I want everybody to look at this fucking person.
Zoom in on that.
Could you zoom in on this guy, Kelly? Look at this fucking beauty. That's a guy.
Beautiful woman right there, right?
Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Psycho.
Yeah. But he wrote extensively online about how he wanted to rape little girls in public bathrooms, and he was planning a school shooting before the FBI intervened, and finally one time actually managed to stop the guy.
So Steve, what do you with this whole trans, because this is me personally, and then I'll send it to you. But I think with the trans situation, there's something. I don't know if it's trauma. I don't know if it's sexual abuse when they're young. I don't know. I'm not a freaking doctor. I think there's something going on, and instead of trying to figure out the main root cause of what's going on, because transgenders have been around forever. I get it, but it's been accelerated. It's happening more. They are overly protected, as we're seeing just in general in society and everything. What do you think, Steve, is really happening? What's going on, and what's your take on this story?
I just feel like anybody's capable of different people are capable of different things, right?
Sure.
So it doesn't matter if there's bad apples. We talk about it with police, with teachers, with it doesn't just because you're transgender doesn't mean you're a saint and you're above reproach and that you can't do anything wrong. I mean, when you do shit like this, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what group you represent. It's an outcast. It's an outlier. This isn't a thing we see in the transgender community like on repeat. So it's the red herring. I mean, it's just a sick piece of shit that went and killed a bunch of people rather than just going to kill themselves and calling it a day. It doesn't why do we don't need to protect an entire group. So I mean, this is a point like we've belabored to death in other groups, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, one bad apple doesn't represent the whole bunch. So the whole bunch. So why can't we apply it in this situation?
Yeah, so why are they hiding it? Why would they hide it from us?
I don't know. I mean, you can't say anything without getting canceled anymore. But good Lord, I mean, we can't talk about when you take the lives of other people. I think all bets are off the table.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Doesn't matter who you are, where you belong to. You're a piece of shit.
You are a female, transgender, whatever race. Everything should be said to the T so we can find out what the hell actually is going on.
Imagine a straight white kid in a MAGA hat goes and shoots up a school. We have that manifesto 30 seconds
what
after
do you mean?
the
It's
kids on the ground.
It's on every website.
There's no hiding it. It's because of the group it belongs to. And this actually, the trans community is really big on violent rhetoric of this was never a thing with gay rights movements in recent years, but the trans community is all about punch transphobes, shoot transphobes. Like they use a lot of that iconography all the time, and when you couple that with Christians are suppressing you, white people are privileged and suppressing you, it's inevitable.
You know what? I'm not playing these games. The thing, it's true. The thing that happens like here, and it breaks my heart when I saw the pictures. There's 3 dead kids. Okay, and those 3 dead kids, they're dead because they weren't protected how they should be protected. Like I don't care if it's a trans person, if it's a terrorist, I don't care who it is. There's 3 dead kids, and if we put half the effort that we put on like taking care of banks, there's always 2 police guys outside. Taking care of malls, there's always 2 armed police guys outside. There's never 2 armed police outside schools. Now, I mean, there is.
But you know what? In California, especially in front of the Jewish schools, security and a cop. Jewish people don't F around. I give them
those
props.
are private schools.
But I mean, the majority of the school, they protect their kids.
Are the future of this country. Now, it's a phrase that you hear all the time by politicians. But kids is our most valuable resource. That's what America is going to be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. and I don't think they're protected enough because like this is gonna happen if you have a place where there's no weapons allowed, when you have like vulnerable children, school teachers, you know, like this is bound to happen. It doesn't matter what group does this, but after you have 3 dead kids, you know, like I'm just done and over it, you know.
Yeah, no, I trust me. The fact going to the gun situation, I think there's no excuse for every single school having a security guard or something. Listen, you know how far I'm willing to go? Put a fucking turret, a gun turret, and if they see anybody walking in with a gun that's not a cop, you get shot. I don't give like the most unprotected, should be protected place is the most vulnerable or schools.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. At least I'm an ex-military guy. Steve, would you as an ex-cop, because we have to wrap up, as an ex-cop, would you just on the side, couple hours a day, because there's gonna be a rotation of other people, would you go to like a local, I don't know, middle school, and just for 2 or 3 hours a day, you're just there undercover walking around fucking armed, and they know that there is a person here armed?
I mean, in Colorado, we had police at every school. There was SROs. They were stationed there. I mean, I had to go do it after a kid got stabbed at the high school.
See?
It was miserable because everybody's taunting you and
Yeah,
being
of course.
a piece of shit to you. But what I'm saying is, like, it's an important thing to have. And you know what? The thing that I think that modern America expects is that, well, like, you should take a bullet before, you know, just to make sure. Just take a bullet, make sure. You know, I think we're missing the articulation. When law enforcement takes action, they have so many people to answer to, but we oftentimes don't hear that. And sometimes you need to hear like what they were thinking. Like, this dude comes in, he presents a gun, I told him to stop, he didn't, and I shot him. Like, that's a reasonable thing. We've stopped evaluating that, but it depends on who the person was and what group they belong to and all this other bullshit. It doesn't. It depends on the circumstances.
The circumstances. Yeah, it does. It calls for it. But dude, I don't know. I mean, we haven't had a mass shooting, school shooting for a while, but now it's election year. Watch, I'm telling you guys right now, something big's gonna happen. Besides, I think the terrorist thing, maybe the alien thing, but there's gonna be another crazy, wild something that's gonna happen that's gonna divide the country. Antifa and who's the other one? Black Lives Matter. They've been
They
on
haven't
vacation.
found a new Floyd yet.
They haven't found it yet, but
they're looking.
Something's gonna
They
happen.
will find it, and he's gonna be Palestinian. Write my words.
Oh yeah, no, take that to the bank. I think so too.